This is That One Audition with Alyshia Ochse.
Because I listened this morning. It was January 19th, 2021 is when it came out. Your OG episode. So Elaine is a returning guest. We only have a handful. It's like the SNL. There's only been I think you're the third return of all the seasons thus far. So people need to go
Wow.
back,
Mhm.
listen to your OG episode, because we got into the whole from the beginning. It was such a good episode. I was so entertained this morning listening to it. I learned a lot again. So I always think that these episodes are so fun to go back into. I'm going to catch the audience up because I don't want to. We've got such a good episode there. That aired
Yep.
January, like I said, 2021. Since then, because we kind of ended in a great place. We were talking about True Detective and Colin Farrell kind of like giving you the ropes of being number one, or like when you get your own show. So
Yeah.
for audience, you went on to then do reoccurrings on all of these shows: Fantasy Island, Station 19, and then they brought you over to Grey's Anatomy because, of course, The Resident, Star Wars, Unicorn Wars, Eternal, Blue Eye Samurai, Power Book, Jessica's Big Little World. I mean, all this great. The Cleaning Lady, The Equalizer, and now Ballard.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? A big part of our conversation, and you and I talk about this often off mic, is how often you quit. How often we quit. How many times a year that we are like, that's it, we're done. Now, if I was to go to you every year
Yeah.
during this time, because that's 21, 22,
Yeah.
23, 24, and now into 25, and you just went to the Ballard premiere last night,
Mhm.
how you feeling about quitting today? How's that premiere?
I quit literally the minute or the hour before I had to go to the premiere because I was getting anxiety. I was like, you know what? This is dumb. I don't want. What am I doing? This is so unnatural. I don't want to be a part of this. I quit. I quit every day. You and I talk about this. It's like there's
Mhm.
always that feeling of doubt or like, oh, come on, is there something else that I should be doing? Like, but there isn't. We're cursed,
Mm-mm.
right? But yeah, you know that it's interesting to hear you break down all of the things I've done since we last spoke. And it is both jarring, it makes me happy, but also made me realize how foolish I am to think that, you know,
That's why I wanted to
I
start
quit.
here.
Why? Let's just keep pushing.
Why?
Yeah.
Instead, like last week, or just this past week, I guess 2 days ago, oh my gosh. No, today's Thursday. Yesterday. Help me, dear God. I did a whole episode on longing versus curiosity.
Okay.
And I think that when we've been working for a while, like we get used to that muscle of working for a while and then getting kicked back out to the audition realm or trying to get the next job, where it's so ingrained in us from the beginning of like, we have to get that next job, or what's the next thing going to be? Or even as you're shooting, you're like, well, I mean, I don't have anything lined up for next. It's we're loaning ourselves completely out of the present. And that was so much a part of our first episode is some of your coaches and stuff literally saying to you, where are you right now? You're not here with me, working with me in this moment. You're thinking about booking the job, and he had told you you're not getting this job, which was very, very alarming to hear in the moment. But most likely, as soon as you've pivoted to being present, that's why I was like, which one of these do we want to even talk about? Or is it one of the auditions that haven't gone your way that we want to start in and talk about it? Because the world is different. And at that time when we talked, we were just starting, the self-tape world was just starting to come back online.
Mhm.
And I want to see if any of this process has changed for you.
So much has changed in terms of interpreting everything that's coming my way. I mean, we've gotten older. There's more seasoning, and you think that you know everything, but you don't. You truly don't. I think for me, as I push through this journey, as I move forward, I try to be as present as possible within the process. But a lot of things have happened from with me personally. I've experienced a lot of loss since we last spoke. And it definitely made me question a lot of things in terms of like, hey, what else can I be doing? How can I squeeze more life out of me, not just as an actor, but just me as Elaine? I hate to say things in third person, but it's true. Like, what else can I get out of it? And I'm still in that process of like trying to understand everything around me, but also learning that a lot of the things that you experience outside of the craft really does inform you with the craft in terms of experiencing certain things that you're either too scared to experience or you're just adverse to it. And I just do remember feeling a lot of things in terms of trepidation with regards to my career because I you don't know you really don't know what's going to happen, and then you only can see it by looking back and going, oh, I actually conquered a lot of dragons along the way, and I've those dragons are not the auditions, it's really you and the self-doubt that you have. I'm not saying I'm you and I speak off mic a lot about our journey and certain things that don't go our way. And is it's understanding that you're not alone, obviously. I think you and I were walking and we were talking about how the quitting thing, and you're like, yeah, this is and you talk to other actors, you're like, yeah, what this is the hardest thing possible that anyone could try to master. But we push through. We push through. Why? Because we're just built this way. And then that's something I'm starting to really be more comfortable with is understanding that I'm cursed in a good way, that I'm always looking for the next challenge and everything else. But I think that's it, right? Like
Mhm.
people see the bookings, people see and they constantly say, wow, you're constantly working, but you don't get to see the stuff that's outside of the highlight reel of the struggle of trying to maintain just your own humanity, just your own mental space. And so, yeah, it's been a wild couple of years.
It has been it's been amazing to watch you navigate some personal stuff and
Mm,
then see how you redirect it. And I'm trying to figure out because we've had so many personal conversations about quitting.
mm,
And I just think because of the way the industry is at this moment, it's a really interesting thing for us to dig into a little bit more. Do you think that the quitting, I know what it is, I think for myself, I've been thinking about this for the last 24 hours. Where do you think the quitting stems from? Is it a quality control? Is it fear-based mentality where you're like, okay, if I don't care as much, or like the story I shared with you with the actor that was like, I am done, not a fake
mm,
done, I'm
mm,
a real done. And
mm.
that surrender, of course, brought him the biggest opportunity of his life within 72 hours. So it's interesting how we kind of manufacture. Like sometimes I will do that where I'm like, I quit. That's it. I don't care. I don't, it's like the bad boyfriend. I don't care about you.
Yeah.
But if you call, I'll still answer.
It is totally that. It's like a toxic relationship, right? It's like, man, this person treats me like shit. But damn, when they call, you just get everything back. You just reinvigorate yourself. I think for me, it's just the exhaustion. I get maybe you and I spoke about this, but I've spoken to other friends of mine that are not just in this industry, but other industries in terms of how exhausted you get as you get older because you just don't have the patience anymore. And I remember not getting a particular role that you know of that I was like, how do I gather enough energy to climb back up? It's like we are on the 15th round, to use a boxing analogy, where you've been knocked down every round and it's the 15th round and you're just like, how am I gonna get back up? This is just hard. And some people say it gets easier. I think you just get used to it. You just kind of it doesn't get any easier. I remember saying that someone asking me like, you've been doing this for like 25 years. You would think that you get used to this kind of rejection or these losses, quote unquote losses. And the analogy I say is that Kobe Bryant or LeBron James have won championships, but when they lose in the finals, it freaking hurts,
Mhm.
even though you've won already. It's just it's hard to, maybe that's a bad analogy because you don't win or lose, but that feeling of like, I worked so hard to get here and I don't get it. And it's like, damn. And it's having to reset that season, to continue the analogy of like, I got to go back to the off season, work on this, let this sort of marinate as I try again. And Yeah, it's that's the reason I think for me is why I and mentally I say to myself internally like I don't know if I could do this again because it's difficult. You get knocked down quite a bit.
There's so much, yeah, there's a lot of loss in it.
Mm.
Now I know what you do. I'm coaxing you into certain things,
All
but
right.
when you do
Lead the
have the
witness. Go
loss,
ahead,
I'm
lead the
leading the
witness.
witness to the answer that I want. But when you do, let's say, lose the project, and I hate saying it like that because
Yeah,
even
same.
it's like you put forth everything. You got to do the character, especially if you go those 15 rounds. For 14 rounds, you were fully inhabited and got to be there. What is your rebound? How do you get yourself back into practice for that next season? What have you been doing lately? And if not, I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, please tell me because but I give myself grace. I really do. I
Mhm.
say give yourself 24 hours to really feel this or 48 or whatever it is and experience it. Truly experience it. And go through it. Go through it and feel the pain because it sucks. But I think for me, the next thing I do is I find other things to sort of as an outlet to get that creative energy out,
Yes.
to write, to
Mhm.
do something creative, not even just anything, just work with my hands, something to get it out. I garden a ton because I'm
Mhm.
always just like, I need to just physically activate myself because if I just sit after that 24, 48 hours, you start to celebrate the loss more, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Luxuriate in it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like, what do we, at some
Mhm.
point, that takes me out. And, the other thing that really recently, as a father, you want to set an example for your child, like he knows what I have to go through I think he knows at least, like all the things I have to do to achieve my dream. And I don't know if he's picking that up intrinsically, just through osmosis, but I want to set an example that if I get knocked down, I'm gonna keep going because this is,
Yeah.
and so
Well,
I think about that too.
that's exactly what I was leading you towards. My daughter and I just had this experience last week. She had a lot of big emotions. I
Mhm.
sat there and let her have the big emotions, and then it was like, okay, what is the opposite of that big emotion? What's She even wrote down longing. And I said, what's the opposite of that? What
Mhm.
is the opposite of that? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, having. You just already or curiosity. And she was like, oh, yes. And it led me to the conversation that you and I had had, and you just kind of briefly touched on it, where it was like writing became such an outlet for you, I feel like, in the last few years. You've been writing for a long time, but really, I think after some personal experiences that you really dove deep into that. And I'm not just saying even writing on your own, taking a class. And then you and I had a conversation before I went in for an audition, and you broke down the scene for me in three simple steps. And I think this would be invaluable for other actors to hear. If they're not going to a writing class,
Yeah.
you're not building the bricks of the house. Sometimes you're just looking at the decorations, right? I always use that as an analogy. Like, what house are you building before you decorate? And a lot of actors just come in with decorations before they build a house. I think as a writer, you are building it brick by brick. You're being so particular about every moment, about every transition, about why the scene even exists. And do you remember what you shared with me that day before? It was before Euphoria. It was before the Euphoria audition.
I did. I
Yeah.
do. This is great. The three, as a writer, or at least I was taking this workshop and they were talking about scenes and they're breaking it down to its simplest form. And it's three things. The scene is either an argument, a negotiation, or it's a seduction. And I thought about that and I was like, is it really just that simple? And every scene I went back to I was working at the time and I was like looking at it going, oh yeah, it really is. It truly is. It could be that simple. And then you could layer on top of that in terms of the tactic you use to achieve whatever you need to do. So it's built on that foundation. And then I remember taking this acting masterclass and they talked about this specific thing too. They said it's either seduction, and I'm like, whoa, this is wild that it's
20
reinforced
years in,
by
you're still
yeah.
learning like little,
Yeah.
I don't want to call them idiosyncrasies, but just the how the house is built.
Yeah, exactly. And I use that always now in auditions because
Mhm.
you need to get there as quickly as possible. And
Yes.
yeah, you need to parachute in. You got 48 hours to figure out where it is. And at the end of the day, I've learned that the nuances of the character, everything else, they just want you to be human, to
Mhm.
experience something through a perspective. And you've talked to a lot of actors about this on this program, this podcast, about that. And it's like at the end of the day, just be human. And it's so sometimes it's hard because to use your analogy, you're looking at the blueprint, which is the script, and you're like, how can I add this and that? But before you get there, just make sure there's a good structure, there's a good foundation.
Yeah, and I want to push this even further because I think also when I'm teaching, I watch a lot of actors and I'm like, oh, that's believable, but
Mm.
there's no specificity to it.
Mm.
Whereas if you're constructing it brick by brick, where there's the specificity of like, oh, this is a seduction scene.
Right.
Okay, great. What is happening in this moment so that you have a stronger point of view and you're not just being a believable actor. Being human, yes, but you and I have layers of trauma,
Mhm.
experiences that just being real in the moment doesn't have its all of the
Yep.
baggage that kind of goes along with it. So, because I feel like some of the creations, some of the characters you've created in the last couple of years have been from a basis of so much more conversation, so much deeper. And it's not just being human. Yeah, on the day. Absolutely. Let's take all the homework. You've discussed it enough and you've thrown it away and we see the final product. But that creation that you've done now, you've stepped into more of a creative, curious
Mhm.
realm
Yep.
that kind of makes you incredibly hireable and desirable in that moment where a lot of the times the cleaning lady was an offer, so was Ballard, right? Both of them offers.
Mhm. Yeah.
So then that's what I wanted to talk about. We'll get to an audition story here in a second, but I want to talk about both of those. You choose which one. And
Let's start with the cleaning lady because that's the one that just
mhm,
finished. I remember when I got the offer for it and I looked at the character breakdown and they gave me a lot of room to play in terms of
mhm,
who this character was. The breakdown specifically of the character said that he was a he wanted to be an actor in Hong Kong, but always was getting cast as the second lead, never
no,
the
never,
main
the
lead romantic.
number
Yeah,
one.
never the
Yep.
number one, but never really the romantic lead. So he was that
Mhm.
guy. But he eventually got into the underground, mafia stuff. And that spoke loudly to me as to who this character was and who he is in his core. I learned this term in a writing class. It's called the armature, where it's the different approach to writing where you create armature. The term armature is actually like, those miniature modeling things that people like clay models.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the guy who was talking about this, he said that he didn't know that you have to create the structure, the wiring, first before you start to add and build onto it. And so I saw that to be an interesting way of looking at things as a writer, but also I adapted it to acting, which is what is the thesis of this character? What are we trying to do? What is the outline of this character? And then you start to fill it in based off of those truths. And so this is a great example of that. I saw him as a person that was romantic because there's a hopeless romantic nature of being an actor in terms of like the hope and everything else. But I wanted it to hide that because of everything that he's been through. And so that deep down inside, there's sort of feeling of, there's a scene in the first episode, second episode, where my character he runs one of those scam places, scam like yeah, where they try to get money off of people. But the hook was that it's other men trying to seduce other men to give them money because they're lonely. And so
Mhm.
now I go in and the character is written as if he's like just saying all these things to say to somebody to get more money. But I approach it like he really believes like this is what he's dreaming of someone being romantic to him about like this is how I want to be and I want to babe, this is how we could be. We could experience love, but only if you send me $25,000. So that to me is indicative of that kind of work in terms of oh that does play into the secrets that I have for this character. And the showrunner didn't we talked about this and the showrunner was like, I love everything that you're doing. I don't know where it's coming from, but keep bringing it. And Tim Busfield was the directing supervisor, and I was just not asking permission. I was just saying, "Hey, can I get this? Can I get that?" And he was like, "These are beautiful choices. Like, keep going." And I told him, and I told the showrunner, if I'm going too far, reel me in because I don't know where I'm going. I'm just kind of exploring the space. And then by the second or third episode, the writers were starting to see some of the stuff I was doing, and then they were making comments like, we're being inspired by the stuff that you're doing, so we're not gonna write towards what you're doing to develop the back half of the season." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." I forget that this is such a collaborative effort that as a writer, you learn that you're just leaving enough space for an actor to come in and discover what you've written and also bring something that I
Yes.
don't know that I
Yeah.
missed.
And I love that you are starting at this level in 20, like we're 25 years in now, or let's say 24 when you started creating this,
Yeah.
that you're getting excited about the wiring of the system and
Yeah.
what could be put on and put on. Because I'll be remiss not to ask this. Every actor that's listening to this is like, wait, hold on. How's he getting offers now for television? Who had worked with you before from the cleaning lady that maybe had seen your work, or how did the offer you think come in for that one specifically?
I've auditioned for them for a lot, like often, a lot. Got close a ton, and I think they were just familiar with my work, to be honest with you.
That's what I wanted to hear, because I
Yeah.
think that that's the thing as actors here, they always think that they're auditioning for the job. You're auditioning for your career. You have no idea at what point that you showed them such a wide variety that for that character, for the cleaning lady, they're like, oh, we know exactly who can do this and
Yeah.
trust you to do. So that was from castings kind of minds and creations more so than the showrunners or the writers knowing anything of, not that they hadn't seen your work before, but they
Right.
hadn't worked with you specifically on set.
No, I mean this was an entirely different writing team
Yeah.
for the cleaning lady. There was a brand new showrunner, I think a brand new staff as well. I don't think they were familiar with some of the tapes I put in, but I knew the casting was familiar with me,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and so it was a lot
All the
easier.
jobs you didn't get in that casting office that led to that offer for you to fully explore and inhabit that character.
1,000%. And I remember saying, someone telling me years ago that you're not auditioning for this role, you're just auditioning for future roles as well. That if
Mhm.
you just do good work and be undeniable, you may not be right for that role, but holy crap, you're going to be memorable in that room or in
Absolutely.
the tape and go, oh, I remember that. He would be great for this. I mean, there was another part that I was trying to get in for with Lorraine Mayfield, and she told me point blank, she's like, I love you, Elaine. I love you. You're just not right for the part. And I'm like, but everything fits. And then as the process went on and I had other friends going in for the audition, I started to see a lot of the deep, like the actual script. And I was like, she's actually right. Like it would take a lot for me to get to that character when some of these actors that are coming in are already just perfect for the role. And
Mhm.
you know, it's the struggle that we have, right, as actors. Is like,
Selection
yeah,
process. And even though, and we don't have we're not privy to all the information like casting is or the producers. You don't know what the behind the scenes conversation might be or who's sitting with the offer, or it's
right.
just right now with the constriction in the business. I think a lot more people are getting handsy with trying to grab onto that audition and having that be the pressure and the end all be all
Mhm.
versus enjoying the work, being present. That is your time to actually play with it.
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
From scene study classes to audition classes.
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a two-line co-star.
That's why we created The Bridge for Actors.
A collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
To a working actor.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, cleaning lady offer comes in. Does Ballard come in shortly after? You were on fire for a couple months last year that I was like, Should I just answer the call? Yes. What would you like to hire him for today? What is today?
What's going on? It was inverse, actually. It was I was doing Ballard first.
Ballard first.
Yeah, and then it got a little sticky there because they did get the offer for a cleaning lady, and there was a 2-month overlay conflict between the two shows, and they thankfully they worked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They worked it out miraculously. Okay, so then where does Ballard come in? So how does this come down the pipeline for you? I remember us talking about it, but I couldn't, as I was researching, I was like, had you worked with anybody from that?
Yeah. Okay. So that I thought that looking back at it, that wasn't that wasn't an offer. It was I did do a self tape for it. Yeah.
I want to hear it. This is the audition story then.
I was working in Chicago, Power. And I got the audition for it. I didn't really know what it was, if I'm being honest. Like I'm not too familiar or wasn't too familiar with the Bosch universe. I've auditioned for it a lot, but never really dove into it. So I didn't even know it was a spinoff at the time. But I remember self-taping in the apartment that I was in Chicago, and I didn't hear anything for like 3 months.
I want to get into process though first, because the process has changed in the last 4 years since we've talked.
Yep.
Now that we've gotten so deep into self-taping, you're on set, which I don't think anything's better than being on set and having to audition. You're in a different mindset. Again, if I'm going for this longing versus curiosity, you're not longing for anything because you're sitting and you're working. You're going to go to your job the next day. So you don't have that desperate energy of like, okay, this is it. This has got to be the one thing. And I'm privy to some of your work ethic now with self-tapes, but will you share with people what's changed, or what did you do for that audition?
What was different? My process with self-tapes have become very technical, and it's
How so?
sometimes I'm scared to share because it creates bad habits, if I'm being honest. But what I do now is I think a lot of actors are doing this now, where you're just recording yourself to play the opposite role, and then I just time it out. And if it's a lot, like this one had a lot of dialogue, and I would just for this particular audition, I put a teleprompter up just so I just didn't have time. I had this other work for Power
That you're getting paid for. Yes.
That actually takes priority because commitment here. That's what I did for this bit, and it just kind of threw it. Honestly, I didn't think too much about it. I did maybe 1 or 2 takes, and that was it. And then I just submitted it, and that was it. The one thing I have started doing is I record myself reading, like doing a cold read of the signs. What I've learned is that my gut instincts is usually correct before I start to intellectualize the shit out of something. That's just for me, because I start to go crazy, but that first read is the truest read for me. And I look back at it and I go, oh yeah, that's actually closer to the magic that I'm trying to achieve or trying to move forward. So I learned that instead of taking so many takes now, it's like, well, it's really the first one that's the most honest.
That's why I always say tape rehearsals. Like, when you come over and tape with me and you're like, let's read through it. I'm like, no, let's throw it down let's do it while we're reading. Cause sometimes you might do something that startles the plan that I had, which is great. Or we're figuring it out in the moment. And there's something unique about those little moments of either a dropped line or like wait, what's going on here, that keeps you in a discovery place. And I see sometimes we tend to chase the rehearsal where you're like, no, we got it. We got it 3 takes ago.
Yeah, you do. Or sometimes you chase the beat. Like, like I've fallen into traps where in the past where you're trying to Frankenstein an audition, where you're like, I love that beat at the beginning, but I love this second part of this other thing. And then you do another take trying to achieve that. Well, then at that point, it becomes artificial.
Completely artificial. That's why I always say too, I think it's great to work on what I call like jumping off points, different jumping off points. So you have a different thought process in your head, so you can kind of discover as you go along versus micromanaging every beat, because then it's robotic. Then we're not we're not. Then you're sitting and looking at 5 to 7 different takes, and you're like, exactly what you said. I like the beginning of one, but like the
Mhm.
third one at the middle is really nice, or the seventh one, and then you're in actor torture, and it's
Oh,
just.
yeah.
And when we used to go in the room, if you were lucky, 2 or 3 takes, if you were lucky. So, like, how do you create that magic? Which I like hearing you say, like, I only throw it down once or twice. And I do think when you're it, you're it. An audition doesn't have to be perfect.
Life isn't perfect. Humans are not perfect. We're not robots in
Mm-mm.
that sense. And then even if you try to articulate or to manufacture those nuances that are the little things that you do when you're thinking, it's not, it doesn't, it's artificial. The camera doesn't lie, man. It
The
just,
camera does not lie. I just was in Charleston. Of course, I didn't get to share this with you. I landed and the actor curse happened. I got 3 auditions as soon as I landed in Charleston. They are all due within 48 hours, 7 pages, 8 pages, 3 pages, one where I sing. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I,
singing too.
yeah, yep.
Oh, we got to talk about this. Okay, go.
It was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
I throw them all down at a taping place there, and they have to shoot them off, get back, be with family, download them 8 hours later when I'm sitting at home, and I was like, oh, I should probably keep these just in case. And I realized the person that I was taping sent a tape where I messed up in the middle, and I was like, let's just start over. And I called my agent and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, did you already send those? He sent the wrong, he didn't edit out that part. He goes, I loved it. That's the tape. I sent it already. And I'm like, what do you mean? I literally say I'm starting over. He goes, I thought it was brilliant. I'm like, no, that's not the same. It's not the scene. He goes,
Yeah.
but it was so real. There was something about it. And after talking to so many people on this podcast too, I can't tell you how many times when I used to go in the room and mess up, I would always get the part. When I did a perfect audition, it was like when you leave and you're like, that's it. I got it. That's the one. It was never it. So I just thought that was so funny. And if you're just doing 1 or 2 takes and you make a mistake,
Mhm.
that's usually the one to send. Think about when you and I are taping together, and if one of us drops a line, I feel like that's where the magic all of a sudden happens, where you're like, oh my God, this is brilliant. What are you doing?
Yeah, because you're present and you're trying to
Yeah.
catch the next wave, or yeah, you're being reactive to something. And
Yes.
I will say that in a big audition that just happened, I as I do, I record my first sort of read. I was in my robe and I was just doing the scene, and then I did the tape. And I remember looking back at that the first one, I'm like, I'm just gonna throw that in there as a second take.
Did you wait? Can we say what this one was for?
This is for Euphoria.
It was
Uh,
for Euphoria.
yeah.
That's right. Wait, did you throw in the robe take?
I did. I threw it in there because I was like, I really like this. It was not the greatest lighting. It was just, I was literally, it was at night. It was at my desk, and the scene kind of actually called for it. And so I just submitted myself for it. And I remember talking to my manager. I was like, do you think I should send the second take? And she's like, you're gonna beat yourself up if you don't. You will. So yes, just submit it. You already have a good one that's like manicured or whatever, but this one
Mhm.
has something. And I remember my agent talking to one of the producers because they were waiting. It was like a long process they weren't even looking at the auditions yet.
Mhm.
But he told me like when the news came that it didn't go my way, they were like, we loved what he did in that tape. It was interesting what he did. And it's only because I was like, yeah, why not? Like, who cares?
That's what I was going to say. You were held on to or in the mix for 4 months
Yeah.
for that before it was
For a long time, for a long
went in a different direction. Okay, so I know we just bounced all around, but let's come back to Ballard.
Okay, yeah.
That's what's happening at this moment. So we throw this down in a hotel room, teleprompter. I love a teleprompter.
Yeah.
I love it. It's just like us holding our sides, only I want both my hands. So
Yeah.
just practicing with it. Months went by. I didn't
Yeah.
know months went by before.
I didn't hear anything back. I totally forgot about it, to be honest with you. And it was 2 days before the table read, and we got the offer. Like no callback, nothing. It was just that was the part. So it wasn't technically an offer, but
Mm,
it felt like an offer because it came out of nowhere.
yes.
And I show up to the table read. Richard Hicks is there, the casting director, Leslie Litt, the main casting person for Amazon. and I've auditioned for them a ton. So it's like, oh, you have no idea how excited we are to have you on this project. We love your work, and we finally get to work with you in this capacity. So it's a testament to what you and I were talking about before, is that if you just do good work, even if you don't get the part, it's people will remember you. And as you go through your journey, people realize, oh yeah, he's professional. He could get the job done, or she could
Mhm.
get the job done, and you just go. But yeah, it was literally 2 days before the table read. Then I,
Well, that's the thing. We just never know. So I feel like going back to the whole I'm quitting,
Mhm.
I think that we can get a little bit more clear. And I think actors listening to this, I think a lot of times we say, I'm quitting. You're not quitting the industry. You're not quitting the work. You're not quitting writing. You're not quitting creation, even how you think about creation. It's quitting this like cat and mouse game of like, will I, won't I? Am I done? Am I not? Should I pack up now or should I just go finish my roof and just take a couple of days? Because you are always working. We just don't know when that next start date is. It's like I relate it to childbirth the other day, where it was like if somebody could have told me, don't worry, you're only going to be in labor for 6 hours, I could have finished that cross line. It was being in so much pain and not knowing when it was going to stop that I can relate it to this, where it's like I'm in quote unquote, I'm in this longing or yearning for something. I don't know when it's going to stop. But if I could have told you 4 years ago, hey, don't worry, here's the start date for Ballard, for
Mm.
cleaning lady, for station 19 that's going to carry you over here. You're going to go over here and do this. Wouldn't you just be like, oh, okay, cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool. Just
yeah.
cool as a cucumber about it.
That's
So
boring though. That's the
it's
thing.
so boring. It doesn't create that same
Yeah. Ver
ang-
for life. Like, if we knew how everything was going to unfold, then what's the purpose of even getting up in bed, right? It's
I
like,
know. It's
yeah,
that desire that keeps you going. So
yeah.
tell me about Ballard. I watched the first episode last night. So tell me what you think.
I thought it was great. I'm just excited for everyone involved. I have a lot of thoughts about the show and everything else, and they're all great thoughts. But it's always, you go to the premiere. Like I went to the premiere yesterday, and to watch it with an audience, TV, you kind of just watch it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And to experience a premiere like that, where there's a lot of fans in the theater, just absorbing everything, and they know all the nuance that's
Mm-hmm.
being portrayed on screen, that was awesome, man. Like just to be a part of that, experience. The Ballard itself, you've seen the first episode, you saw my character, and there's a lot of things that's going to unfold as we go in the season.
That's why I'm letting you talk about it. So I'm like, 'cause I don't want to be any spoilers right now.
Yeah, yeah. The best way I could explain my character is, you have like a nice pair of shoes that you have, they're really comfortable, but there's a rock in there. That's Hastings. He's the like, damn, I know I could walk, but there's just, what is this annoying thing inside my shoe? That's who he is to Ballard. This kind of antagonistic character that's like a helicopter parent, making sure she's doing something right. It's a lot of that, and it's there's a the one thing I've enjoyed so far is that the chemistry between Courtney and Maggie Q it's phenomenal. Like I love the duo on screen. So yeah, I mean, what do you want to know about?
Well, because the last time when we talked, I thought it was really invaluable to hear what you learned from Colin Farrell working on True Detective and some of the things that he bestowed upon you as the number one. And he was like, and then you're going to be in this seat here sometime soon, which you will be. What is it?
You're gonna be with me too.
Great. We're going to put that on mic right now. Husband, wife duo, ex-husband, ex-wife, whatever. We need it.
Whatever.
Whatever. Whatever. We have that relationship solid. So now we just need a whole show to go around it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So I want to hear about working with Maggie and like what was your things that you kind of brought forth, kind of stepping into another set, like after the cleaning lady too. It's really nice to see females helming the number one. And what did you pick up that we can bring into season two or the next show?
let's first, I'll answer the Maggie Q thing first. I'll be honest, I was petrified at first on the first day because she's an absolute force. And I was
Hmm.
talking to, I actually told her this yesterday at the premiere. I pulled her to the side. I said, if I'm being honest, I was really scared of you. I was, that it's really that intensity that you brought to set. And it wasn't just the character stuff, it was just everything. And being the number one in the show, you watch these people work and you're like, everything is weighing on them.
Hmm.
And you realize there's a different gear you need to get to or to use to be able to drive the engine for the project. And I watched it. I was like, you were very scary in the first couple episodes. But as I got to know you, I realized like, oh wow, now I start to see why this is so important to you and why it's so precious to you. And the responsibility you had. So I learned that. And same thing with Elodie. I said the same thing to Elodie. I was like, Elodie Young, who is the lead, the number one on Cleaning Lady, same thing. And to see that, A, was humbling because I'm like, whoa, I need to be prepared for that. Should the opportunity come where I am the number one on the show. But it was so beautiful because they were so giving in with the cast, with their time. And if I had a question or I mean, Maggie and I got to know each other well during the season. We talked about our cultures, how it is being Asian in this industry, just sharing like, anecdotal things. And the most beautiful thing is at the end, she typically when you do a rap, the AD comes in and says, "Hey, this is a wrap for the season for Elaine or for anybody." And she was the one who grabbed the mic specifically for me. And then she gave me a beautiful send off, and I was like, "Whoa, that you didn't have to do any of that. That was so beautiful." So that was my experience in a nutshell working with Maggie on this project. And the cool thing about it is I'm a big fan of Nikita and Noah Bean, who is the councilman that I work under as Nelson Hastings worked under. They he was Nikita too. So that first scene, that scene in
Oh,
her
yes.
office, I'm off to the side and I remember watching and going like, oh my God, this is so great. I'm literally watching them work and I had an out of body experience of thinking like, oh my God, I used to be a fan of that show and now I'm here in the scene with both of them. This is
Very
great.
Truman Show-esque, very
Yeah.
much. And
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah. Yeah, and so that was the best, man. And John Carroll Lynch, huge fan of his too. He was really sweet on set. I mean, everybody on that project was really sweet and caring and warm.
and damn good. And just
He's
so good.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Michael
excited.
Mosley, he's fantastic. Like it's just
Yes, I'm really excited to watch the rest of the season. Okay, two more questions, specifically about the cleaning lady and Ballard, because I think once you become more of an ongoing recur or even series regular, let's talk about editing. Because that
okay.
was something with the development of both of these being offers, and you kind of like, even like you said, you went to the showrunners and you're like, hey, if it's too much, like, let me know. Like, what's this dance how are you working on the day? Because some actors like to give a lot of variation, and then
Mm,
you go and you sit in the audience and you're watching the first cut of it all together with audience people, and you don't know what they're going to choose. Or are
yeah.
you being more consistently in the same pocket so you can kind of control what they're able to put forth?
I'm still learning this. I'm definitely
That's what
still
I wanted to
learning
talk. Yeah.
because there are certain takes that I've done that I did in Cleaning Lady where they didn't use it.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So they get to shape that. I don't know the dance yet. I'm still trying to get I've talked to a lot of actors that are much more experienced. Like Elizabeth Marvel once told me when I was on the show Hellstrom, she said, I remember asking her this same question, which is like, how do you negotiate this dance?
Hmm.
Because if the direction you get doesn't make sense, how do you push through that? And she said something to me. She said, you just smile and you go, okay. And you do the same thing you want to do if you really are adamant about the choice. You don't give them the choice. And then eventually they'll go, okay, we got to move on. That's
Yeah.
and I'm like, how do you? I'm a people pleaser sometimes. So it's like, if that's what you want, I got to trust you, you know?
Yes.
So it is I'm still learning that. I don't know what that is because I'm giving different variations,
Hmm.
even though they're very microscopic or very nuanced. It's still different that it could change the trajectory of the character as you go. I, yeah, it's conversations you have with, certainly with the episodic director or the film director, the showrunner in terms of the core of the character. I think if it's true, regardless of what you do, it's still going to play. But I think it's the ego that goes, no, but that's a better choice. I like
Yes, when you
better.
watch something, you're like, wait, there was a better choice for that, but
Yeah.
then you don't know the whole scope of where
No.
things might go. Again, directors, especially on television, we get a lot of guest directors from
Mhm.
episode to episode versus like the showrunner stepping in, or so I just think it's a great conversation to constantly be having. And I've heard a lot of variation where people have stuck to what they are doing and then they win awards for it, right? Where they're like doing the
Yeah.
smile and saying, okay, thank you,
Yeah.
and steering on, staying on their path.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of great other variations where actors are like, whatever, I'm going to give them a whole A to Z and they get to create whatever character they want. And then that, like you said, I feel like those are people that are like, whatever, that's what they put together. Good. They
Yeah.
have as
Well,
much ownership over it.
and I think that's where I am stepping into that realm now is taking ownership, as you said, in terms of like, it is you that they see. It is, they sometimes they don't see. I remember there was an actor he's become a really good friend of mine. I worked with him on Paper Tigers with Ron Ewan, and he said the same thing. He was like, "Yo, dude, like you got to fight for the things that you believe in as an actor because guess what, dude? It's they see you.
Yeah.
They see you. And if you entrust in the other person to pick a choice for you, you compromise the integrity of your artistic sort of expression. And I'm
Yeah.
interesting. Again, I don't know where that line is yet. I'm starting to kind of go in that world now, is learning like, okay, what kind of ownership do I want? What hills do I want to die on? And what are things that are negotiable? I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's fine. I don't
Mhm.
want to argue about this. But yeah, it's
Well, yeah, we don't get to walk into casting offices or other producers and writers and be like, hey, I know that that season came out like this, but I actually was arcing the character. Like, no,
Mm.
but it is our faces, it is our careers that kind of land in that pocket. And I just think it's an interesting exploration as an actor once you're getting and you're going episodic and you're going episode after episode,
Yeah.
season after season, what you are getting to create. It's different when you're in season 3, 4, or 5. I
Right.
wanted to talk about the cleaning lady because you did come in a little bit later in the seasons on that one, versus Ballard is something new, right?
Mhm.
And it is learning the dance
Yeah.
differently on season 1 versus season 4 or 5.
That's the thing. Like I remember Ballard, pilot episode, first episode, Hellstrom, first episode, pilot episode, and everyone's trying to understand the world. Even True Detective. I don't know if you and I talked about.
That's exactly you.
Yeah.
Colin said that to you, and I thought that was one of the most refreshing things where it's like, hey, it's my first day. It's
It's our first
Vince's
day of
first day.
school. We
It's our
don't we
first
don't
day of
know.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all figuring it out together. And what a breath of fresh air to be able to relax and then start playing at the playground.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like as you're coming up and you're learning the ropes and you're learning your place in things is that sometimes that voice that you have starts to get smaller because you're like there's a lot of bigger voices that take the space in the room and you don't know when it's your time to really speak up. And so yeah, it's a tough dance. It's something that you don't learn in drama school or even
Nope.
repertoire company. Like these are things that you learn as you go. So
Learn on the job. And you've gotten to have a lot of good learning jobs lately.
yeah.
So many. Okay, rapid fire questions. Okay, when you get an audition, who do you call first?
You.
Yeah. I was waiting for you to say, like, I also love when you're like, hey, can you throw down these lines? And I
Oh,
wanted to know how you're using them. If you're actually using them for
that's
memorization, are you using them to tape if you're not coming here?
it's two. So I'll do like I'll use it to for rehearsal. I use that
Mhm.
amazing app scene study and I
Mhm.
just put it in there and I just kind of just go through it. And then
So for
sometimes,
people that are listening, you will send me the sides. I'll record my
yes,
all the other characters besides Elaine's characters. So then
yes,
you're actually not listening to your voice, you're listening to mine. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And sometimes if I can't find a reader, I'll use that. I'll chop it up and make it work that way. So yeah, that's a yeah. But yes, this is supposed to be a rapid fire question. But yes, you.
Yeah.
And then
It's
I
been
go
great.
down a list of other actors that I have. If it's a male, if it's a female, like yeah, I think you have a beautiful voice. So it's like perfect.
Thank you. You know my sensitivity around that because there was one casting director who was like, I hate your voice. So it's really always, every time I hear that, I'm like, take it in. Thank you. Okay. When you book the job, who's the first person you call?
You know what? I don't call anybody. This is my problem. I, it's so weird. So yeah, the fan center is nobody. I don't call anybody. I don't know why, but I don't. But what I do is I go to the same church that I grew up where my mom would take me, and I just say a little prayer of gratitude. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you celebrate? Is that
I,
the celebration part? Is the gratitude?
oh man, I'm still learning to celebrate, if I'm
Mhm.
being honest. We were talking a few minutes ago about celebrating losses. I'm still struggling with celebrating wins. So how do I celebrate? I take the day to just do nothing and just kind of live in that space. That's what I'm practicing is going, okay, just take a minute, take a beat. So that's what I do.
I love that. Okay. When at lunch in your
Mm.
trailer, working out, sitting with the crew.
Always with the crew.
Oh, that's what I thought. Most memorable first day experience.
Ooh,
I know I've added some good questions here.
man. I mean, it has to be okay. If we're taking True Detective out, because we talked about this,
It can still be True Detective. I mean,
it
that,
truly is because it really was the scariest and most beautiful thing. I mean,
yeah.
to watch Vince Vaughn do his thing as the first scene, and I'm there, and I go in, and yeah, I mean, we don't have to rehash the story, but that was
People need to go to that first episode because what happened on that first day, I think, is remarkable. It's a
yes.
beautiful first day. Okay.
Drive traffic to that first podcast. Come
I went
on,
back and I was like, this is so great. Best rap gift.
best rap gift. Ooh,
I've been on
Ariana
some big shows.
Guerra, Ariana Guerra from Hellstrom gave me this travel tag for my luggage, and I still have it today.
Oh,
I
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, before set prep. Once you're on the day or the night before.
I panic a lot. That's the first.
Yeah.
Uh, what I do, it's always different. I don't have a routine, honestly. I
You don't?
just
That's great.
I don't.
It's just part of your natural day. Just going about.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I do that. Nothing.
Okay, I'm going to end on this one because I don't think I know the answer to this. Funniest way that you've gotten a job.
Funniest way? Golly. Here's the thing. I don't remember. There's so many that there's not one to pinpoint. Funniest thing I've ever had to do to get the job.
No, just funniest way you've gotten a job.
The
Like I
funniest
met
way.
somebody at
Oh,
7-Eleven and I literally got an offer a week later and I was like, this does not normally happen.
it's same with it's still True Detective. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Well, I don't know. We may have talked about this off mic, but I was, I just had like surgery in my nose.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Did I tell you about? Yeah, I did,
No, but
right?
you got to tell. Yes.
Okay. That's the most interesting because I was like, I don't want to audition for this. Like I'm drugged up. I'm in painkillers. There's no way. I am not even aware of anything. And I put myself on tape.
Magic.
So
One of my last jobs last year, I had stitches all up in my grill, and I was like, I look like like somebody that went and got insane plastic surgery right now. I sent pictures to my team. I'm like, I cannot audition for this, and they were like, well, she's meant to be older, and I was like, that doesn't do anything. I got the job with
uh,
stitches in my grill.
uh,
My stitches came out at lunch on my first day of work. While sitting with the director, he was like talking to me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I have stitches all through here. And he's like, and I just pulled out. And he was like, are you serious? I'm like, mm-hmm.
oh wow. It's character.
Character.
Come on.
It's
You're
a
method.
secret. It's a secret that you're trying to conceal.
Yeah.
I always love being able to hear. I think I'm glad that we got some of these things on mic that you and I get to talk about every once in a while, because I do think it's really helpful. I think it's incredibly invaluable to hear too that no matter what level you're at, even when you wrap a job, that sensation of being an actor, thinking that that's the last thing that's going to happen, is just part of the holistic experience that we have as actors, where we can be so deeply vulnerable, so completely open and available for work in the story, and then
Yeah.
go right back to that place of, I don't want to say scarcity, but yeah, kind of scarcity versus thinking. And I know that number one's coming. They're creating a show for you. I'm just going to put it on mic because whatever comes on mic ends up happening and coming into fruition.
Yep.
But it's always incredible to watch you on screen, watch how you kind of come up with things and how you just continue to stay in the game day in and day out. And I think a lot of that comes back to you creating your own stuff. So people have to go back to that first episode and hear all the things that you constantly do for your day job that is allowing you to still be creative.
But you've been a joy to talk to off mic, and to be able to talk to somebody that is also going through it. It's really important to have a community, a tribe of people that you could rely on, and you're tops on that list.
Ditto, man. Until we get to do this on screen, we'll just continue to do this on.
So yeah, it's gonna happen. So for the people listening to this, every job I get, I'm always like, I think there's a role in here. We're gonna
make it happen.
I'm gonna make this work.
Yep.
Power, there's a wife. Maybe I can make this work. I'm gonna talk to the showrunner. Let's make this happen. Because that's what we do, right? Like,
that's what we do. Well, and for people that haven't listened to the first episode, we met in class in 2005. So we're celebrating our 20th. And I always say, Bill Esper always says it takes 20 years. Yeah, I know it's been 20 years. I know, to hear that out loud. But yeah, look, 20 years in. May our 20th year be our celebratory on-screen commencement.
That's amazing. We did actually work together. We did that podcast thing, the table, the read.
We did do the table, yes,
Yeah.
but on screen.
On screen, though. On screen.
On
Yeah,
screen.
for
I
sure.
adore you. People can watch Ballard now. Go back and watch Cleaning Lady. I mean, critically acclaimed. I'm so sad it went away. It would have been fun to continue to watch that character evolve. Wow. And so much good stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, where can everybody follow along? Instagram.
Instagram, it's just my name, Alain Uy, ALAINUY. I don't have a Twitter X anymore. That's the only thing I'm on. Yeah.
Yeah. I adore you. Thanks for doing this, man. Good to see you.